champion Kambosos, just over 2.5 weeks out to his son makes his 140-pound debut. He'll be fighting former world champion Yordan. There he is. How excited are you for Fight Night?
Oh, super excited. I mean, 8 years since George has fought in Sydney. So last time we fought was Luna Park, 2016. So yeah, the return of the road warrior, George Kambosos. And we had a few opponents to pick from at the 140 division. Obviously George, to make the step up into that division. It's a stacked division now. So the thing is, yeah, super excited. Yordan, he's no slouch. I've told you, George, this many times. If you overlook Dwight, you might as well retire, because this boy can punch. 43-4 record with 31 knockouts. He's got punching power. So super excited. George has obviously had a fantastic training camp, and the camp is still moving nicely with 2 weeks to go this Saturday. And George is there to make a statement and literally introduce himself to the 140 division.
Now, Dowd himself is a former 2-time world champion.
WBA challenger as well.
That's it. Headlined some of the biggest cards around the world.
Yes.
How did he come about to be the opponent for George?
Well, obviously, at the time, we were talking directly with Lou DiBella, George's exclusive promoter, about George fighting in Sydney. And we had a couple of opponents there. We had a Canadian opponent at 140 and also one from the States. But then obviously Matchroom came in and partnered up and bought out George's remainder of his contract. That Top Rank was aligned with us previously. And then obviously talking with Eddie, they said, hey, listen, can you get us another name? And I looked at the sporting calendar. I seen that Australian Socceroos are playing Indonesia on Thursday night, March the 20th. It's a sold-out game at Allianz Stadium. I contacted Dwad's manager and pretty much presented him the terms of wanting to fight George Kambosos in Sydney. He did tell me, we want that fight. Let's negotiate the deal, which we did, and we negotiated a good deal. But the thing is, he also said to me, there's an Indonesian soccer game and there's 3,000 to 4,000 fans that will be, going to the soccer. And I said, yes, I know that. And obviously, him being a boxing senator, he's the Manny Pacquiao of Indonesia. They're all going to come over to watch him fight. And this is why he feels confident he can beat George. He's going to have a big fan base in Sydney. And he's also made statements that he'll knock out George and he'll make sure that George's record remains in Sydney, obviously with his past losses, that he's going to continue that and he's going to knock him out. So, you know what? This is a dangerous guy. And he's got some good incentives in his deal. So obviously he's looking to defeat George as well.
Now, have you had to study much on him at all, or just? Yeah,
we had a good look at him and what he's done in some of his past recent fights, but also what he's done in some of his big fights when he fought Troller and some other big names there. Look, he's more of a guy that will try to walk you down. He's straightforward, and he obviously wants to land some heavy shots on you. But he also likes to back himself up onto the ropes as well. So we see a lot of there that we're working on with the game plan with Anton Karushin, George's and Imam's trainer. So we've got the right game plan to not only beat Yordan on the night, but to actually make a statement and stop him.
Too easy. Now, over the past week, Eddie has said prior to Yordan, George will most likely fight IBF World Champion Richardson Hitchens in New York. Does this remind you of when you started your companions when Mickey Bay, Lee Selby, Teofimo Lopez? Is this very similar?
Similar pathway. And look, when I negotiate deals, I ensure that there's something beyond the deal that I've negotiated. So obviously sitting down and talking to the powers that be, Eddie Hearn and DiBella, Lou DiBella, I ensured that this fight in Sydney was a statement fight for George Kambosos, introduced himself to the 140, but there had to be something in behind it. And it's no secret, Hitchens, he'll be awaiting for the result, and it's more than likely that Hitchens will fight Kambosos in June or July in New York, Madison Square Garden. Obviously, me being a manager, I will try to negotiate the commercial terms of where it could take place. But right now, Yordan is the most important guy in front of George. George being victorious, that's the plan, is fighting Hitchens for the 140 IBF World title. And yes, similarities with Mickey Bay was a good step up fight for George, compare it to Yordan. And then you look at, we went straight into Lee Selby for an eliminator. You could look at the Yordan fight as being an unofficial eliminator. And then obviously Lopez, pound for pound, huge name. I mean, Hitchens is a big name as well, and he's the current 140 champion, who defeated Liam Parro, our own Australian. And George wants to avenge that, and get that belt back and bring it back to Australia. So it's great.
That's it. So with that news, does George really have to make a big statement to make sure he can get that world title shot?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you've got to make a statement against, guys like this, because there's a lot of killers in that division and there's a lot of big names. So you've got to make a statement, and you've got to let everyone know that you're comfortable in your 140 division, and you're here to basically challenge the top names again and take what they've got, and that is world titles and two-time division and legacy and everything. There's so much there, mate,
That's it. Now, you're around George probably more than anyone. How have you seen his progression as he's moved up in weight?
Transitioning from 135 to 140?
Yeah,
a lot stronger. Speed and pretty much he possesses a lot of good speed and skill and movement, but the thing is he's a lot stronger, and I just see him a lot more relaxed and comfortable because of the weight that he holds, and his dietitian, Christoph from Strive, he monitors George every week, and he says, mate, you're tracking really nicely at 140. And like I said, George sparred. He sparred last night. We didn't check his weight, but he sparred last week, which was 3 weeks out. He sparred, and he was only 4 kilos off his weight, and that was three weeks ago. So weight's good. So that won't be an issue, especially holding that extra 2.1 kilos.
Now, like you just said before, Hitchens beat Parro on the back end of last year for the world title belt.
Yeah.
What can George do differently that Parro can't?
Not take the foot off the pedal, and I had Parro winning that fight in the first 4. And look, I said, Hitchens is not a Devin Haney. He's not 1/10 of a Devin Haney. All he does is basically work off his jab. But the thing is, George Kambosos has got a lot more arsenal to counter that jab. And Liam, I think he took his foot off the pedal and kind of sort of started to get outboxed and getting caught with the right hand. George says, just give me Hitchens after Yordan, and I know that I've faced the biggest names in boxing with the Haneys and the Lomachenkos and the Lopez's. This guy is very beatable, and I'm there to take his belt, provided obviously Yordan's first up.
Now, George has previously been in the ring. It will be 8 straight world champions, former or current back-to-back on March 22nd.
Yeah, what a resume.
Exactly. Hitchens has only got the one with Parro. Do you think world title and being in with champions, that experience is going to get him over Hitchens?
Yeah, definitely, because, you've got to think that when you're fighting the bigger names and you're going to world title fights, and you're moving into fight week and everything else, there's a lot of build-up, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of everything. So George has been through all that pressure and build-ups many, many, many times over and over and over. So that's a huge factor, and it plays a big role in your mental well-being. And not only that, George has been there and done it with some big names. So I think Hitchens is going to really struggle if he has to face George. He's going to struggle mentally. George is very good at how he responds to any statements that come from any fighter. And you know what? Hitchens will find this out when he's literally facing George. And like I said, he's something we're looking forward to. Right now, Yordan's going to face what George is like when it comes to the press conference and the face-off. And Duard's going to be in for a bit of a shock himself.
Now, over the weekend, we just had Gervonta Davis fight featherweight Lamont Roach, ending in a draw, very controversial fight. I'd like to know your opinion on it.
Well,
the knockdown.
Well, it wasn't knockdown because he took a knee. At the end of the day, excuses of grease in the eye kind of thing, that's bad luck. You know, the simple thing is he did get caught with a shot and then he took the knee, so he's just using it as an excuse. Lamont won that fight. He should have got the decision.
Do you reckon he'll get overturned?
They're looking at it. They are looking at it. A lot of people in the boxing world are calling for it. They believe that Lamont should have got the decision, and I think they will overturn it. You know, and I could see a rematch as well happening, but I think they're going to overturn it. They're going to have to, because once you take a knee, that's a 10-8 round. So the thing is, when you look at the scores with a 10-8 round, Lamont wins the fight.
Now, do you really think Tank's head's still in boxing, or is he unmotivated? What do you see?
Gervonta's head?
Yeah.
I think it's not in boxing anymore. He's got what? He's got so many millions of dollars. He's not motivated. His head's not really in it. But then again, if this gets overturned and he's got a loss on his record, I mean, he's got a draw on his record at the moment. So there goes that perfect padded record. And his resume is nowhere near what George's resume is. You know, it's a very manufactured. It's a padded record. And right now he got exposed against Lamont. If they overturn it and he's got a loss, well, is this the trigger that fires him back up? It could be, but right now, yeah, it doesn't look like his head's in the right space for boxing anymore. You know, he's got too much money, and he's content with his lifestyle. But we'll soon find out, I suppose.
Now, after that fight, I spoke to Jackson England. He's done a lot of work with George in the past. He's really eyeing off a shot against Lamont Roach.
Yeah.
How do you reckon he'd go if he moved up and fought Lamont?
That's a good fight. I mean, I love Jacko, and you know what? I think Jackson's got a lot of skill and a lot of speed, and you know, he's a thinker as well. He's got a boxing brain. So, you know, if that comes off, mate, first of all, I'll be super happy for Jacko, and I'll be definitely backing him no matter what for the win. So, wow, let's get it done.
Too easy. Thank you, time, Jim.